Princess Anne rides with hundreds of king's guards at the king's prestigious parade. Princess Anne woke early that day, before most of the palace staff stirred, knowing that today was no ordinary day. Today was the king's prestigious parade, a celebration that marked tradition, loyalty, and unity, and she was at the heart of it. The princess, though accustomed to royal duties, felt a quiet excitement as she prepared. Her hair was neatly styled, her riding uniform freshly pressed, and her boots polished to a perfect shine. She knew that her appearance today would not only represent herself, but the entire royal family and the legacy they carried. The palace corridors echoed with the soft footsteps of servants moving quietly, carrying trays of breakfast and messages for the staff. Courtiers whispered in hushed tones about the preparations for the parade, and the air was filled with a mix of anticipation and pride. Outside, the grounds were already alive with activity. Hundreds of the king's guards were assembling, their uniforms impeccable, their posture straight, and their faces serious yet proud. Each soldier understood the significance of the event and had trained for weeks to ensure perfection. Horses were groomed meticulously, their manets braided, hooves shining, and saddles polished until they gleamed. Every detail mattered, for the parade was not just a ceremony. It was a living symbol of the kingdom's strength, discipline, and unity. Princess Anne made her way to the courtyard where the guards were gathered. The air was cool but filled with energy. Soldiers moved into formation, practicing precise steps and commands, while officers coordinated every movement with careful gestures and sharp voices. Anne paused for a moment, watching the scene unfold. She admired the discipline and dedication of the guards, understanding that each soldier carried not only a duty to the king, but also a responsibility to the people and to history. She felt a deep sense of pride in being able to ride alongside them, to be a part of this grand tradition that had endured for centuries. As she approached the assembly, the soldiers turned to salute her, their eyes reflecting respect and admiration. Anne returned their salutes with a composed smile, acknowledging their hard work and dedication. She then walked slowly among them, her eyes observing every detail. She noticed the nervous energy in the younger guards, the quiet confidence in the veterans, and the meticulous attention to the horses. Each element was crucial, and she knew that even a small mistake could disrupt the entire procession. Yet she also felt a sense of calm. This was her world as much as it was theirs, and she was ready to take on the responsibility with grace and dignity. The sound of drums and distant trumpets began to fill the courtyard as the parade preparations moved into their final stages. Anne's horse, a magnificent white stallion, was led to her side, its coat shining like silk in the sunlight. The princess gently stroked its mane, feeling a sense of connection with the powerful animal. She had spent years riding and training, and she knew that today her skills would be tested in front of thousands of people. The horse, sensing her calm confidence, stood quietly, ready to carry her through the grand event. Around her, assistants and aides moved briskly, checking lists, adjusting uniforms, and ensuring that every soldier and horse was in the correct position. Anne observed silently, understanding that leadership was not only about action but also about awareness. She spoke briefly to a few guards, offering words of encouragement and calm reassurance. Her voice, though gentle, carried authority, and the soldiers responded with renewed focus. The air was thick with anticipation as the final moments approached, and Anne felt a thrill of excitement mixed with responsibility. She was not just participating in the parade. She was leading, guiding, and representing the spirit of the kingdom itself. As the sun climbed higher in the sky, the crowd began to gather outside the palace gates. Families, tourists, and dignitaries lined the streets, waving flags, cameras ready, eager to witness the historic event. The sound of cheers and chatter drifted through the air, adding to the growing energy and excitement. Anne took a deep breath, centering herself. She knew that once the parade began, there would be no room for hesitation. Every movement, every gesture, and every expression mattered. She felt a sense of connection with the people watching, understanding that her role was not only ceremonial but symbolic. She was a bridge between tradition and the public, between the monarchy and the citizens who respected and loved their heritage. Finally, the moment arrived. The parade commander signaled the formation to move, and the guards stepped forward in precise unison. Anne mounted her horse with effortless grace, feeling the powerful muscles of the stallion beneath her. She adjusted her posture, holding the reins firmly but gently, her eyes scanning the formation ahead. The drumbeat intensified, trumpets sounded a clear, bold note, and the parade began its journey through the streets of the kingdom. The crowd erupted in applause and cheers as they caught sight of Princess Anne riding at the front, her uniform shining, her expression composed yet approachable. Children waved eagerly, some holding homemade banners, while adults raised their cameras to capture the historic moment. Foreign dignitaries and journalists snapped countless photographs, knowing they were witnessing a rare blend of tradition, leadership, and elegance. Anne's eyes moved over the crowd, acknowledging the excitement with small nods and gentle smiles. She felt a deep sense of fulfillment, knowing that her presence added meaning to the parade and inspired those watching. As they moved further along the route, Anne maintained perfect composure, guiding her horse with skill and precision. The guards flanked her on both sides, their movements synchronized, their eyes focused, and their pride evident in every step. The parade was a spectacle of discipline and tradition, a living demonstration of the values and history that the kingdom cherished. Anne felt the weight of responsibility, but she also felt exhilaration. Being part of something so grand, so meaningful, and so enduring was an honor she would never forget. Throughout the morning, Anne continued to observe the formation, noting the precision and dedication of each soldier. She silently acknowledged the hours of practice, the careful grooming of the horses, and the attention to every detail that made the parade flawless. She understood that her role was not just to ride, but to lead, to inspire confidence, and to embody the spirit of the monarchy. Every gesture she made, every glance she gave, and every movement of her horse was a testament to the strength, grace, and commitment that defined her role as a princess. As the parade approached the main square, Anne felt a sense of unity and purpose. The guards moved in perfect formation, the horses trotted in time with the drumbeat, and the crowd's applause grew louder. She felt a quiet pride in being part of this historic tradition, understanding that today's event would be remembered not only for its grandeur, but for the dedication and skill of everyone involved. The morning sun cast long shadows over the parade route, highlighting the shimmering uniforms, polished boots, and majestic horses. Anne's heart swelled with emotion, knowing that she was at the center of something truly extraordinary. The first part of the parade concluded with Anne guiding her horse to a ceremonial halt, acknowledging the crowd with a graceful nod. The guards saluted, and the spectators erupted in cheers, their excitement and admiration filling the air. Anne dismounted smoothly, her posture elegant and composed, and took a moment to breathe and reflect. She had led the opening of the king's prestigious parade with poise, skill, and dedication, setting the stage for the rest of the event. She felt a deep sense of accomplishment, knowing that her presence had inspired the guards, captivated the crowd, and honored the traditions of her family and her kingdom. As she stepped aside to allow the next part of the parade to continue, Anne's thoughts were filled with pride and anticipation. She knew that the day was far from over and that more challenges and moments of excitement awaited. But in that quiet moment, standing amidst the disciplined ranks of the king's guards, she felt a connection to history, a bond with the soldiers, and a deep appreciation for the responsibility she carried. The morning had been filled with preparation, anticipation, and the thrill of tradition, and Princess Anne had proven herself ready to lead with courage, grace, and unwavering dedication. The streets of the kingdom were alive with excitement as the grand parade unfolded. Princess Anne rode proudly at the front, her white stallion moving with measured elegance, its hooves striking the cobblestones in perfect rhythm. The sun reflected off her polished uniform and the gleaming medals on her chest, making her presence commanding yet graceful. Behind her, hundreds of the king's guards marched in formation, their synchronized steps echoing like a heartbeat across the wide avenues. The precision of their movements amazed onlookers. Every soldier knew exactly when to lift a foot, turn a head, or straighten a shoulder. It was a display of discipline and dedication that only years of training could achieve. As Anne guided her horse forward, she could feel the energy of the crowd around her. Thousands of spectators had gathered, lining the streets from corner to corner, waving flags and banners decorated with the kingdom's colors. Children perched on their parents' shoulders, trying to catch a better view, their eyes wide with wonder. Many waved eagerly at Anne, who responded with a small, graceful nod, acknowledging their excitement. Some waved hats or homemade flags, and a few brave photographers stepped forward to capture the moment. Every glance she gave, every smile, connected her to the people, reminding her that today's parade was more than a ceremonial event. It was a bridge between royalty and the citizens who cherished their heritage. The air was filled with the sounds of drums, trumpets, and horns. The steady beat of the drums provided a rhythm for the entire parade, while the shrill tones of the trumpets added a regal flourish. Anne listened carefully to the sounds, feeling their energy resonate through her body. Each beat seemed to guide her horse's steps, keeping her in perfect harmony with the formation behind her. The guards, too, moved with an almost musical precision, their swords gleaming under the sunlight. Officers shouted commands at the top of their voices, but every word blended seamlessly into the orchestrated flow of the parade. Anne's horse trotted smoothly, its movements reflecting the training and trust between rider and animal. She gently guided it around corners, through narrow streets, and past arches decorated with colorful ribbons. The crowd's cheers grew louder with every step, and Anne could see faces light up with admiration. Some children pointed excitedly at her, whispering to their parents, "Look, the princess is riding with the guards." For Anne, these small moments of connection were as meaningful as the grandeur of the parade itself. She understood that her presence brought joy and inspiration to those who watched, and she felt a sense of pride that went beyond the ceremonial duty. The king's guards flanking Anne were a sight to behold. Their uniforms were immaculate, every button polished, every crease in their trousers sharp. Their faces were serious, reflecting focus and dedication, but there was also a quiet pride shining in their eyes. Many had trained for months, sometimes years, to participate in this event, and the opportunity to march in formation alongside a princess was both an honor and a responsibility. Anne could see the effort in their movements, the careful precision of each step, the way they held their weapons, the way they maintained their posture despite the long hours under the sun. She silently acknowledged their dedication, knowing that their professionalism made the parade flawless and impressive. As the parade moved deeper into the city, foreign dignitaries and journalists captured every moment with cameras and notepads. Anne knew that these images would be shared around the world, showing the unity, discipline, and elegance of the kingdom. She felt a quiet sense of responsibility, realizing that her actions today represented not only herself, but also the royal family and the entire nation. Every gesture mattered, from the tilt of her head to the way she held the reins. Anne's experience in public appearances, her years of training, and her natural composure all came together, allowing her to lead the parade with confidence and grace. Along the route, Anne noticed the subtle details that made the event so special. Flags swayed gently in the breeze, children waved enthusiastically, and shopkeepers decorated their windows with royal symbols. Musicians stationed along the streets played melodies that added richness to the parade, while volunteers ensured that the crowd remained orderly and safe. Anne's attention to these small elements reflected her awareness of the bigger picture. She understood that a successful parade depended not only on the soldiers and horses, but also on the coordination of countless people working behind the scenes. Her nods and smiles at the volunteers and musicians were small gestures of appreciation, yet they reinforced the sense of unity that the parade embodied. Despite the excitement and grandeur, Anne remained focused. She guided her horse with subtle movements, maintaining a steady pace while watching the formation around her. Occasionally, she caught the eyes of individual guards, offering silent reassurance with a small nod or a glance. These quiet moments of connection strengthened the cohesion of the parade, ensuring that every soldier and horse moved as one. Anne knew that leadership was not just about giving commands. It was about fostering trust, confidence, and calm amidst the spectacle of thousands of spectators and hundreds of marching guards. As the parade continued, Anne passed through key landmarks of the kingdom. The main square, adorned with statues and fountains, provided a dramatic backdrop for the event. Spectators crowded every available space, cheering loudly and capturing photographs. Anne felt the energy of the moment, realizing that she was part of a living story that would be remembered for generations. The sight of her riding confidently at the front, flanked by hundreds of disciplined guards, created a powerful image of tradition, authority, and grace. The parade was not only a visual spectacle, but also a display of coordination and timing. Anne watched as the guards performed intricate formations, moving in perfect symmetry. Horses turned sharply without hesitation. Soldiers adjusted their pace in unison, and the drumbeat maintained a steady rhythm that guided every movement. It was a performance that required absolute precision, and Anne's presence at the forefront added an element of leadership and poise. She felt a deep connection with the guards, understanding that their training, trust, and discipline were what made the parade seamless and awe-inspiring. Throughout the morning, Anne remained aware of the crowd's reactions. Children waved excitedly, shouting greetings and cheering, while adults clapped and took photographs. She noticed elderly citizens smiling, some whispering stories of past parades to their grandchildren. Anne felt a profound sense of continuity, realizing that she was part of a tradition that spanned generations. The parade was not just about ceremony. It was about connecting the past, present, and future of the kingdom, and she was honored to play a central role in it. At one point, Anne guided her horse through a narrow street lined with tall buildings. The acoustics amplified the sounds of the drums and trumpets, creating a dramatic effect that made the parade feel even grander. The crowd's cheers grew louder, echoing off the walls, and Anne felt a surge of exhilaration. She adjusted her posture slightly, signaling her horse to move with gentle guidance, and the guards responded instantly to maintain formation. It was a perfect example of the harmony between rider, soldiers, and the audience, a moment that captured the essence of the parade's grandeur and significance. As the procession approached the royal gardens, Anne noticed the guards maintaining unwavering focus despite the long march. Sweat glistened on their brows, and the horses' breaths came in steady puffs, yet every movement remained precise. Anne admired their dedication and resilience, understanding that the success of the parade depended on their skill and discipline. She occasionally spoke quietly to officers, offering words of encouragement that were subtle yet meaningful. Her leadership was not loud or commanding. It was calm, measured, and filled with respect for those around her. The parade continued through the central avenue, where dignitaries and ambassadors from other nations had gathered. Cameras clicked and flashes illuminated the scene as Anne rode steadily at the front. The guards flanked her on both sides, their eyes focused and their expressions composed. Every movement was synchronized, every detail considered, and every moment executed with precision. Anne felt a sense of pride not only in her own performance, but in the collective effort of the soldiers, musicians, and volunteers who had made the parade a flawless display of tradition and discipline. By midday, the parade had reached its climax. Anne guided her horse through the final stretch, flanked by the guards who marched with unwavering precision. The crowd erupted into applause and cheers, waving flags and shouting in excitement. Anne responded with a graceful nod and a gentle smile, acknowledging their enthusiasm. She felt a profound sense of accomplishment, knowing that the parade had been executed perfectly, and that the audience had witnessed a moment of unity, tradition, and elegance that would be remembered for years to come. As the parade concluded its course, Anne slowly guided her horse to a ceremonial halt. The guards saluted, and the crowd cheered even louder, applauding the skill, discipline, and poise of everyone involved. Anne dismounted gracefully, her uniform pristine, her posture elegant, and her expression composed. She had led the parade with confidence and dignity, inspiring admiration from the guards and the spectators alike. The moment was a testament to the harmony of tradition, leadership, and dedication, and Anne knew that it would remain a cherished memory in the hearts of all who witnessed it. Standing amidst the disciplined ranks of the king's guards, Anne took a moment to reflect. The parade had been a display of coordination, skill, and dedication, but it had also been a celebration of the connection between the monarchy and the people. She felt proud to be at the forefront, leading with poise, grace, and unwavering commitment. As the sun shone down on the final moments of the parade, Anne knew that this event had not only honored tradition but also strengthened the bond between the royal family, the guards, and the citizens of the kingdom. The parade was in full swing, and the sun shone brightly over the kingdom streets. Princess Anne continued to lead the procession with poise, her white stallion trotting gracefully amidst the disciplined ranks of the king's guards. The crowd cheered, flags waved, and the air was filled with music from the drums, trumpets, and horns. For the spectators, it seemed like a perfect display of tradition and ceremony, flawless in every way. But behind the calm and elegance, moments of unpredictability tested the skill and composure of everyone involved, including Princess Anne herself. As the parade turned a sharp corner near the central market, a sudden loud cheer from the crowd startled one of the horses. Its ears flicked nervously, and it shied slightly, tossing its head. Anne's horse sensed the tension in the nearby animal and shifted under her guidance. Years of riding experience and calm training kicked in, and Anne instinctively adjusted her posture, holding the reins with gentle firmness. She whispered softly to her horse, feeling its muscles relax under her touch. The guards nearby noticed the slight disruption and immediately steadied their own mounts, maintaining formation with disciplined precision. It was a moment that could have turned into chaos, but Anne's calm presence prevented it. She had learned early in life that leadership was not only about command, but also about presence and confidence. The parade, while ceremonial, demanded constant awareness. Every step of the horse, every movement of the guards, and every reaction to the crowd required attention. Anne guided her horse forward slowly, allowing the startled horse to regain composure. She offered subtle hand signals to the nearby guards, signaling them to stay steady and calm. The officers responded immediately, showing years of training and trust in their princess's leadership. The crowd, oblivious to the brief tension, continued cheering and waving. Children squealed with excitement, adults clapped and snapped photographs, and foreign dignitaries raised their cameras to capture the grand spectacle. For them, it seemed like the parade was moving perfectly, but behind the scenes, small moments like this tested the skill and professionalism of everyone involved. Anne felt a quiet sense of pride as she navigated the situation calmly, understanding that these moments were what truly revealed the dedication and discipline of the King's Guards. As the parade moved further along the route, Anne's attention shifted to the synchronization of the troops. Hundreds of guards marched in perfect formation, but minor adjustments were necessary when crossing uneven cobblestones or navigating tight corners. Anne used subtle movements of her horse and slight nods to communicate with the officers. Every signal mattered, and the soldiers responded instantly, demonstrating their training and trust in her guidance. The harmony between rider, guards, and horses was remarkable, and Anne silently appreciated the effort and focus that went into creating such a seamless display. The parade was also a test of endurance. The sun climbed higher, and the streets became warmer. The horses' breaths were visible in the morning air, and the guards felt the physical strain of marching for hours while maintaining perfect posture and discipline. Anne, while experienced and fit, felt the heat as well. Yet she maintained her composure, her posture elegant and steady, her expression calm and reassuring. Her presence inspired the guards to continue their duties with precision, and her quiet words of encouragement to nearby officers strengthened their resolve. Halfway through the route, another challenge arose. A group of excited spectators leaned too far over the barriers, trying to get a closer look at the princess and the guards. One of the younger guards noticed a child leaning dangerously close to the edge and gently guided them back, maintaining safety without alarming the crowd. Anne noticed the movement and gave a small nod of approval, acknowledging the guard's attentiveness. She understood that the success of the parade relied not only on precision, but also on the careful management of people and animals alike. Every detail mattered, and even small incidents could have large consequences if handled poorly. Anne's horse moved smoothly, guided by subtle shifts of her weight and gentle rein adjustments. She kept her eyes on the formation around her, ensuring that the guards maintained their perfect lines and timing. The music of drums and trumpets filled the streets, providing a rhythmic backdrop that unified every movement. Anne felt the connection between herself, the soldiers, and the horses, an unspoken understanding that allowed them to move as one. It was a display of discipline, trust, and harmony, and Anne took quiet pride in being at the center of it all. As they approached the royal gardens, the parade faced one of its most challenging sections, a narrow cobblestone pathway lined with spectators on both sides. The space was tight, and the horses needed careful guidance to avoid contact with the crowd. Anne's experience as an equestrian proved invaluable. She maneuvered her horse with skill, keeping a steady pace while subtly signaling nearby guards to adjust their spacing. The officers and soldiers responded immediately, moving with precision to maintain the formation. The crowd, oblivious to the minor adjustments, continued cheering, creating a festive and joyous atmosphere. Despite the careful planning, minor incidents continued to test the parade. A sudden gust of wind caused banners and flags to sway unpredictably, startling a few horses momentarily. Anne, calm and focused, adjusted her posture and guided her horse with gentle commands. The guards around her responded instantly, steadying their mounts and keeping the formation intact. The seamless recovery demonstrated the professionalism of the king's guards and the quiet authority of Princess Anne. She understood that these moments, while subtle, revealed true leadership and discipline. Throughout the parade, Anne maintained awareness of the audience. She noticed a group of elderly citizens in the front row, some of whom had attended parades decades ago. Their eyes sparkled with nostalgia, and they whispered stories of past events to the children beside them. Anne felt a deep connection to the history and traditions of her kingdom. She realized that her role was not just ceremonial but symbolic, representing continuity, respect for heritage, and a bridge between generations. Every wave, nod, and smile she offered to the crowd strengthened this connection. As the parade entered the final stretch, Anne faced another subtle challenge. A horse near the rear of the formation became restless, its rider struggling to maintain control. Anne quickly assessed the situation, signaling nearby guards to create a safe buffer. With gentle guidance and a calm demeanor, she ensured that the horse regained composure without disrupting the flow of the parade. The officers executed her subtle commands flawlessly, and the formation continued seamlessly. Moments like these demonstrated Anne's calm leadership and the trust that the guards placed in her judgment. The culmination of the parade was approaching, and Anne felt a mixture of relief and pride. Hours of preparation, training, and coordination had led to this moment. The streets were lined with cheering spectators, the guards marched with unwavering precision, and the music of drums and trumpets filled the air with energy. Anne's horse moved steadily, guided by her confident hands, and she kept her posture elegant, her expression calm. The parade had tested her skills, her composure, and her ability to lead, and she had risen to every challenge with grace. As they approached the main square, Anne glanced around at the guards, who maintained perfect formation despite the hours of marching and the minor incidents along the route. She nodded subtly to them, acknowledging their dedication and effort. The soldiers returned her gaze with pride, understanding that their professionalism and discipline had contributed to the flawless execution of the parade. Anne felt a deep sense of connection with the guards, recognizing that their trust and teamwork were what made the event successful. The final moments of the parade were a celebration of unity, tradition, and excellence. Anne guided her horse into the ceremonial halt, flanked by the guards who saluted with precision. The crowd erupted into applause, cheering, and waving flags. Anne dismounted gracefully, her uniform pristine, her posture elegant, and her expression composed. She had led the parade with confidence, calmness, and skill, navigating challenges and unexpected incidents with poise. The applause from the crowd, the respect of the guards, and the admiration of the dignitaries affirmed her role as a capable leader and a symbol of tradition. Standing amidst the disciplined ranks of the king's guards, Anne reflected on the challenges and successes of the day. She had faced moments of tension, minor incidents, and the constant pressure of maintaining composure, yet she had guided the parade flawlessly. The experience reinforced her understanding of leadership, discipline, and the importance of presence and calm in the face of unpredictability. She felt a deep sense of fulfillment, knowing that she had represented her family, her kingdom, and the centuries of tradition with grace and dignity. As the crowd began to disperse and the parade concluded, Anne received nods of respect and gratitude from the guards and officers. Their admiration was quiet but sincere, acknowledging her skill, composure, and leadership. Anne, in turn, offered small gestures of thanks and appreciation, recognizing the effort, discipline, and dedication that had made the parade successful. The day had been a test of coordination, skill, and resilience, and together, the princess and the king's guards had ensured that tradition and excellence prevailed. As the parade drew to a close, the streets of the kingdom were filled with applause, cheers, and the echoes of music from the drums and trumpets. Princess Anne guided her horse slowly through the final stretch, flanked by the king's guards, who maintained perfect formation even after hours of marching and countless challenges along the route. The sunlight reflected off their polished uniforms and the gleaming swords they carried, creating a picture of discipline, tradition, and unity. Anne's posture remained elegant, her expression calm yet proud, as she took in the admiration of the thousands of spectators who lined the streets. The main square had been prepared for a grand ceremonial halt, with flags waving, banners fluttering in the breeze, and a stage set for the royal family and distinguished guests. Anne's horse moved gracefully, guided by her steady hands and subtle shifts of weight, until she reached the center of the square. The guards formed a precise semicircle around her, their movements perfectly synchronized. From this vantage point, Anne could see the crowd stretching into the distance, faces filled with excitement, respect, and admiration. She felt a quiet joy, knowing that her presence had inspired awe and pride among the citizens. The king, watching from his ceremonial box at the center of the square, nodded approvingly at his daughter. He had observed her leadership, composure, and skill throughout the parade, and he felt pride not only in her abilities, but also in her dedication to tradition and the people. Anne acknowledged the king with a graceful bow of her head, and the crowd responded with renewed cheers. It was a moment of connection, where royalty and citizens shared in the celebration of heritage, discipline, and unity. Anne dismounted smoothly from her horse, her uniform still immaculate despite hours of riding and leading the parade. The guards saluted in unison, and the crowd erupted into applause once again. Anne stepped forward, her eyes scanning the audience, offering small nods and gentle smiles to children, adults, and elderly citizens alike. Every gesture was deliberate, reinforcing the bond between the royal family and the people. She understood that her role extended beyond ceremony. It was about representing tradition, inspiring pride, and showing leadership through calmness, respect, and presence. The parade had tested everyone involved, the guards, the officers, the musicians, and even the horses, but it had concluded flawlessly. Anne reflected on the moments of tension, the minor challenges, and the seamless recovery that had ensured the success of the event. She felt pride in the professionalism of the king's guards, the dedication of the musicians, and the careful planning of the organizers. More than anything, she felt pride in herself for leading with confidence, calmness, and poise. Every aspect of the parade had demonstrated the harmony between tradition, discipline, and leadership. The royal family moved to the stage, where dignitaries and foreign ambassadors had gathered to witness the conclusion of the parade. Anne's parents, the king and queen, received applause as they stood in regal elegance, and Anne joined them, her presence commanding respect while remaining approachable. The king raised his hand to acknowledge the crowd, and Anne followed with a gentle wave. Cameras clicked and flashed, capturing the historic moment of unity, tradition, and leadership. Anne felt a quiet satisfaction, knowing that the parade had not only displayed grandeur, but had also reinforced the values and continuity of the kingdom. After the formal acknowledgments, the parade transitioned into a celebration. Musicians played lively tunes, and performers staged demonstrations of traditional skills and crafts. Anne walked among the guards and participants, offering words of thanks and encouragement. She spoke briefly with officers who had maintained discipline throughout the parade, praising their skill, attention, and professionalism. The guards, in turn, expressed admiration for her leadership, acknowledging how her calm presence and subtle guidance had ensured the parade's flawless execution. It was a moment of mutual respect and appreciation, highlighting the importance of teamwork and trust in any grand endeavor. Anne then turned her attention to the citizens, who had gathered in every corner of the square. She approached children, accepting small gifts and tokens offered in admiration, and offered kind words to the elderly who had watched generations of parades unfold. She understood the significance of these personal interactions. The parade was not just about spectacle. It was about connection, tradition, and the shared pride of a kingdom in its heritage. Anne's gestures, her attention to detail, and her willingness to engage personally made the celebration feel genuine and inclusive. The royal reception that followed added another layer of grandeur to the day. Tables were laid with elegant refreshments, and the king personally greeted the guards, officers, and dignitaries. Anne moved through the crowd with grace, ensuring that everyone felt acknowledged and appreciated. She spoke briefly with musicians, complimenting their performance and dedication, and offered encouragement to the youngest guards who had marched in a major parade for the first time. Her presence was both inspiring and reassuring, demonstrating that leadership involved care, attention, and recognition for the contributions of others. As the afternoon sun began to lower, the atmosphere shifted to reflection and storytelling. Citizens shared their experiences of the parade, recounting moments that had impressed or inspired them. Anne listened attentively, engaging in conversation with the crowd and offering thoughtful responses. She asked children about their favorite parts of the parade and encouraged them to learn about the traditions and values represented by the event. For Anne, these interactions were as important as the ceremonial aspects, as they reinforced the role of the monarchy in connecting with its people and fostering pride in shared heritage. Behind the scenes, Anne also took the opportunity to thank the staff who had worked tirelessly to ensure the success of the parade. From the palace assistants who coordinated schedules to the organizers who arranged formations and music, every individual had contributed to the seamless execution of the event. Anne's appreciation was sincere and personal, demonstrating humility and respect for the efforts of others. Her acknowledgement reinforced the importance of teamwork and highlighted that leadership was not about personal glory, but about inspiring excellence and dedication in others. As the day came to a close, Anne returned to her horse for a final ceremonial ride through the gardens. The king's guards flanked her once more, creating a stunning visual display that symbolized unity, discipline, and tradition. The crowd cheered enthusiastically, waving flags and clapping as Anne guided her horse with practiced elegance. Every movement, from the gentle touch of the reins to the graceful sway of her posture, communicated confidence, skill, and poise. It was a moment that captured the essence of her leadership and the harmony between the royal family, the guards, and the citizens. The final moments of the parade left a lasting impression on everyone present. Anne dismounted once more, receiving heartfelt applause and respectful bows from the guards. The crowd's admiration was sincere, reflecting not only the grandeur of the parade, but also the dignity, skill, and composure of the princess. Anne's quiet satisfaction came from knowing that she had led with integrity, that the traditions of the kingdom had been honored, and that the people had felt connected to their heritage in a meaningful way. As evening approached, the palace prepared for the closing ceremonies. Lanterns were lit, casting a warm glow over the gardens and streets, and the soft sounds of music filled the air. Anne walked among the guards and citizens, sharing final words of thanks and encouragement. She reflected on the day's events, the preparation, the parade, the challenges, and the celebration, and felt a profound sense of fulfillment. Every moment had demonstrated the importance of leadership, discipline, respect, and connection. The parade had not only honored tradition, but had also strengthened the bonds between the royal family, the guards, and the people. Finally, Princess Anne returned to the palace, her horse led gently by a trusted aide. She paused for a moment in the courtyard, looking out over the streets where the parade had passed. The echoes of cheers and music still lingered, and she felt a deep sense of accomplishment. The day had been a testament to unity, discipline, and tradition, and she had played a central role in ensuring its success. Anne's heart swelled with pride, not only for herself but for everyone who had contributed to the parade. The guards, the officers, the musicians, the organizers, and the citizens who had come to witness history in the making. In the quiet moments of reflection that followed, Anne understood the true significance of her role. She was not only a princess participating in a ceremonial event, but also a symbol of continuity, leadership, and inspiration. The parade had been a living demonstration of the values and traditions that defined her kingdom, and Anne had upheld those ideals with grace, skill, and humility. Every step of her journey through the streets, every glance at the cheering crowd, and every interaction with the guards and citizens had reinforced the connection between the monarchy and the people. As night fell, the kingdom settled into a calm after the excitement of the day. Lanterns illuminated the streets, and the palace stood proudly, reflecting centuries of history and tradition. Princess Anne, now in the quiet of her private chambers, reflected on the parade and the lessons it had offered. Leadership was not only about command and ceremony, it was about presence, composure, empathy, and connection. She had experienced challenges, witnessed professionalism and inspired pride, and she knew that the memories of this day would endure for years to come. The parade, with its grandeur, discipline, and celebration, had concluded successfully, leaving a lasting impression on the kingdom. Princess Anne had led with elegance, skill, and courage, demonstrating the qualities of a true leader. The citizens had cheered, the guards had maintained their precision, and the royal family had been represented with dignity and pride. Anne's role had been central to this success, and her presence had reminded everyone of the importance of tradition, unity, and leadership. As the night deepened, Princess Anne looked out over the city from the palace balcony. The streets, once filled with crowds and music, were now quiet, yet the spirit of the day lingered in the hearts of all who had witnessed it. Anne smiled, knowing that she had played her part in a tradition that would continue for generations. The parade had been more than a display of ceremony. It had been a celebration of unity, a testament to dedication, and a symbol of the enduring connection between the monarchy and its people.